Yo, we are live. What is going on, everybody? Sorry for the Xbox 2 podcast being on a Thursday, but you know who to blame on that one.
Why is it always me?
It's your. I mean, because it is your fault. It's your fault. Sometimes it's my fault, but today it is your fault. What's going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, one of the hosts of the Xbox 2 podcast, and with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, the reason we're doing this show on a Thursday today, Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
It's actually my girlfriend's fault that we're doing this.
Okay, well, I mean, but you guys are together. You guys are one person, so it's your fault.
She had to get up for university at 7 in the morning. So like I was like, well, either I could podcast really tired, or come and podcast on Thursday and be chipper. And here I am, chipper. Would you rather have chipper Jez or falling asleep yawning Jez?
I'd rather have chipper Jez. Yeah. And just let everybody know, next week is July 4th holiday, Wednesday, which means we're not going to be doing the show on Wednesday. We'll do a show exactly a week from now on Thursday. So make sure you mark that down on your calendar. But hopefully we can actually go back to doing the show on Wednesdays instead of doing it on Thursdays or Fridays. We kind of got out of the routine for many different reasons. People traveling, people not feeling good, all that good stuff. So next week it'll be on Thursday. We don't want to ruin anybody's holiday.
Traitors Day.
Yeah.
Traitors Day.
Traitors Day. Like, even though we do it early in the day, like 3 o'clock, but still, a lot of people have the day off. A lot of people are spending it with family. A lot of people are, outside in that disgusting heat. Oh, because it's hot. It's hot. I don't know what it is by you in the UK, but it is hot here in Chicago.
Oh, I'm in Germany right at the minute, and I'm actually pretty lucky. It's not that hot here. It's been raining today, so I'm pretty chill with the temperature right now. But everyone in England's dying because it's like 30°C. I don't know what that is in F, like 90°F something.
Well, 90. That's hot, dude.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, everyone laughs at British people for complaining about it being 90, but no one in England has air conditioning, and a lot of shops don't have air conditioning, so there's no way to escape it. So, I don't know. I am glad I've got a fan. I've got a desk fan, so I'm rocking it, man. High-tech air conditioning right here.
High-tech air conditioning. That sounds good. Sounds good. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about. The good thing we actually did delay till today because a bunch of news came out. We have the information about State of Decay hitting 3 million players. We're going to discuss that. We also have the Halo TV show finally being in production, or at least announced with Showtime in a 10-episode order. We'll talk about that. Microsoft is quote unquote done playing around. That's a quote from a developer in regards to next generation. We'll discuss what that could potentially mean. Jez has had some few leaks this week, one about Xbox mods and the other about keyboard and mouse support, which we'll talk about as well. And yeah, whatever else we feel like, questions you guys can put in the chat, and we'll answer them. But yeah, so let's start the show. And Jez, I didn't make a video for like 4 or 5 days, man. I took a little break from YouTube, played some video games, not having to worry about making videos.
I wish I could
spending time in Premiere Pro trying to figure stuff out, and then listening to people complain in my comment section about why I suck so much. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, you know what? I'm just unplugging, and I played a lot of games. What have you been? What has Jez been up to?
Well, I've been leaking all over the place, as you saw, as you just mentioned. So I've been working pretty hard this week, but I've also strangely chilled. Pretty chill this week. I've had a good week, man. I can't complain. Can't complain. I've been playing some games too, here and there. What have you been playing, Rand? We usually start with what I've been playing, but I think this week we should start with what you've been playing since you've been taking a break. Playing some games.
Yeah, so it's weird because Nier Automata came out for Xbox, right?
Yes, you
So
do.
I've been playing a couple games. I've been playing Nier Automata, and I've been playing The Crew 2. And I've kind of been switching back and forth on both of those. And what's interesting though is when I posted that I was playing Nier Automata, a lot of PlayStation fans kind of were, I'm not going to use the word upset, but they were
Upset.
curious as to why I would play it on Xbox and I wouldn't play it, and I didn't play it on PlayStation. But to which I responded, listen, I mean, they're like, oh, you could have played it last year in May, which is true, but I didn't have a PlayStation last year when it came out in March. I didn't get my PlayStation until around June. And considering I had had a PlayStation product since the PS2, I had a lot of games I wanted to play first before Nier. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to play the Last of Us, the Uncharted's, the God of Wars, Until Dawns. I mean, I don't know, I think I played like 30 games on my PlayStation already, and I still have some I want to play. But I was always kind of interested in Nier because I do like Platinum games. I love Bayonetta. I love Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. It seems in that vein. So I'm like, okay, well, eventually I will get to the point where I'll play Nier when I have some of these games on my backlog on my PlayStation kind of cleared out. And then, like early this year, very early, I was told it was coming to Xbox. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just play it on Xbox whenever it comes. And, they eventually, announced it the day before E3, even though, I think we had known about it for like months, right, Jez?
Yes.
Like I think I had heard about it all the way back in February. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
Nier's coming, so like I'll
I
just
just
play
didn't
it.
have any proof.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have leaked that. But
And then it was like, okay, so Nier's coming on in end of June. It's like, oh great, so that's during the summer drought. There's really gonna be nothing to play, which there really isn't. So I'm like, I'll play Nier, and I'll play it on, and it has nothing to do with like the 4K or any of that shit. Like I don't care about resolution. I've always said I don't care about resolution. I just prefer playing everything on Xbox because I prefer the controller. And yeah, I do like to get achievements because trophies are meaningless to me. I always got to say to me. It's like when I say these things, people get a little testing when I say trophies are meaningless because they assume I'm talking like for them. When I say trophies are meaningless, I of course mean to me because I really can't speak for anybody else. So, yeah, so like I decided to play that. Some of the PlayStation fans were like, "Oh, no, you're playing it a year later." Well, yeah, like I wanted to play it. I play it on Xbox. Given a choice, and I've said this plenty of times before, given a choice, I would rather play everything on Xbox. Like I don't know why that's a mystery to some people, but it is what it is. So I've been playing through Nier Automata, and fucking game's good, dude. Like the game's good. The game's great, actually. Like I am really, really enjoying the game. I just finished the amusement park section. Well, a little bit past the amusement park section. My God, that whole section with the Jazz. Have you played this game?
No spoilers.
Have you played this game?
I played it a very little bit, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. But please, no
dude,
spoilers.
The music in this game is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, the music's great.
Oh my God, the music in this game is just. I just sit there and just listen. And the combat is pretty cool. There's different ways you can set it up with like your weapon sets and the different type of weapons you have, plus like your pod and things like that. So like the combat actually is pretty interesting, and it also has that typical Platinum games where if you dodge right when you're about to get hit, you go like kind of, you get like this one you kind of teleport and then you attack and then you knock people up in the air and stuff. But similar to the bullet witch stuff and Bayonetta and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. But man, I'm really enjoying it, and I've kind of been, and the only reason I like haven't been like burning through is because I also have Crew 2 for a review. So I kind of been playing a little bit of Nier and then a little bit of Crew, a little bit of Nier, a little bit of Crew. But like, I am planning on like not only beating this game once, but beating this game like 3 times because that's what people have told me. Like, you need to play. Like, it's worth playing, but if you're only going to play it once, it may not be worth it that much. Like, second playthrough is different than the first, and the third playthrough is different than the all those other 2, and that's like where the true endings and all that stuff come in place. So like I'm I'm down for the long haul. I'm probably going to do as many playthroughs and probably aim for the 1,000.
Nice.
Kind of interested in seeing where the story goes. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't know anything about Nier at all. Like, I don't know anything about Nier, the world. I didn't play the one on the 360 or any of the other ones. Like, I don't know anything about the world of Nier. And, like, I think they do a pretty good job of setting it up and making you kind of interested in what's going on, considering, like, I don't know anything other than, like, the combat is great. The music's phenomenal, and even though like maybe some of the buildings and like don't look very good, but like it's kind of a weird thing. The game looks great, but some of the areas don't look so great. If that makes a lot of sense, I don't know. Like it can be in certain instances visually stunning, but in some instances like not. But the first couple boss fights were also, they got these big boss fights, and the thing that really kind of gets me is how seamlessly they transition from like third-person hack and slash to a side-scrolling hack and slash or into a shoot 'em up, because you have like a jet sometimes that you use, and it's basically like a regular shoot 'em up. And then some of the bosses will use all the different types of things. Like it'll be like a regular hack and slash, and then like they'll start shooting out their like bullet. It's very unique in that regard, and I am very happy to be playing it and enjoying it. So that is Nier Automata. I've had a bunch of people ask me to do a review when I finish it, and I will definitely probably do a video about it for sure. Just know that I am really enjoying myself, and if you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, maybe consider picking this up, especially if you like those hack and slash action games. Like I love Bayonetta and Metal Gear, or on the PC. That's right, it's on the PC as well, and I don't know what it runs on the X. I'm playing on the X. I know it's supposed to be like they tout it as 4K, but apparently it's not 4K. Like I don't really care. It seems to run like frame rate wise, because this game is supposed to be 60 frames, and it is 60 frames. But there are some sections where I do notice the frame take a hit here and there. But I am happy it's running as close to 60 frames as possible. But yeah, just another quality game from Platinum, man. Like like I know sometimes depending on which team at Platinum makes the game determines the quality of the game. Like Bayonetta's great, and Metal Gear Rising's great, but like man, it's that Turtles game. There's a couple other like B tier ones, like I think Legend of Korra.
Wasn't that great, was it?
Like yeah, like it's like whoever they put on it, and now it's like when I play this, I'm like man, like kind of want to see what Scalebound turned into, because like they had the A team on for Scalebound, and maybe it wouldn't have been as good as Nier and Bayonetta because it didn't really seem like the combat and all that stuff, but like Nier has kind of like proven to me once again like why I enjoyed A team Platinum games for so long, why I consider Bayonetta to be a masterpiece, why I like gave Metal Gear Rising a 9 out of 10 when I originally played it, because like they are like the best at that type of game. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I love Rising. Rising is one of my favorites too.
Yeah. So that is all for Nier Automata. I'm really enjoying it. I've also been finding like dead bodies. Like apparently you're connected to Xbox Live, and other people play and they die, and then you can retrieve their bodies. It's kind of, and you can even retrieve your own body. It's kind of Dark Soulsian in that aspect. Like you collect these chips, like these plug-in chips, where it might give you extra XP or extra damage, and you plug it in. But then if you die, because you can't always save in this game. There's no quick save, or there's no auto save. You can only save in certain spots when you actually activate a save device, which it fits into the story very well. And then you can go back to your body that died and retrieve the stuff that you lost. So it kind of has that little aspect to it. But you sometimes, when you're connected to Xbox Live or the network, they call it, there'll be other like bodies out there that you'll see that of people that died, and you get stuff for like retrieving them or repairing them. So that's one of my games. Let's go back to you, Jez, and then we'll go back to the crew too. So what have you been playing?
Well, I've been desperately trying to finish Vampyr, because I had a review copy of that as well. They gave review copies the day of launch, so that wasn't happening. And since then, I got like a huge backlog from E3. and you know, I'm still trying to make good on the promise of reviewing that game. So every sort of spare little bit of time I've had, I've been playing Vampyr, and I don't know how far through the game I am either. I think the level cap's level 30, and I'm like level 23 or something. I'm not even sure if that's a level cap actually, comes to think of it. But yeah, I've been playing for like, God, it's got to be well over 20 hours, 25 hours by now. But I'm conflicted about it, Rand. I'm conflicted about it. You haven't played it, right?
You were really, yeah, I haven't played it. You were really enjoying it before. I know you were talking about how like you could basically just kill any NPC that you find, but what, you're not feeling it that much anymore?
There are some serious problems with the game. Put it that way.
Yes.
So like there are bugs, really annoying bugs. I wouldn't say game break. I haven't found anything game breaking yet, but there are some really, really frustrating bugs. Like there's a bug with reflections where like if there's a light reflecting off water, it can make your whole screen go white. And there's a boss fight which takes place in some water. So you can imagine my screen was flashing white the whole time I was trying to kill him. And I did kill him, but man, it was really annoying. And just loads of little things like that, man. Like it feels the game's crying out for a polished pass, but the devs have been pretty much silent since the game's launch. There's no information if they're even going to support it with updates. It's really weird considering it came out what, like a month ago now or something like that. Like
Yeah.
more than a month.
Well, no,
so,
no, it came out like on the 5th, June 5th.
So almost a month, should I say?
Yeah.
But there's been no information that I'm aware of that about them updating it. You know, there's frame rate issues on the Xbox One X too. Like, if there's more than like 4 enemies on screen, it gets so laggy, and I'm talking like 10 frames a second or less. It's terrible, and this is on the X. You know, so like it was even worse on the S, or about the same probably, but uglier. So like I'm, you know, it's annoying. It's kind of like this game could have been so much more with a bit more polish, a bit more thoughtfulness towards it. Like the game world's inconsistent too. It's like it's set in London, right? But it doesn't do a great job of explaining why their NPC, they're like, it's like a hub-based open world. It is truly open world, I guess. But like you're sort of gated by level and stuff like that. Like you can't, if you try and access an area that's too high level for you, you'll get wrecked. But like you can still overcome the mobs if you play well, I guess. But it sort of tries to, it ushers you to certain places in the story, right? But problem is, it's set in London. So like there'll be one area that's full of werewolves and weird zombie things called skulls and stuff like that. And then the next area, there'll just be NPCs walking around like there's no danger or anything like that. And it's kind of like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like this person is literally standing there ignoring the fact there's a werewolf walking around the corner, and they don't seem bothered by it. It's like, it's just inconsistent. It feels like the people who wrote the game weren't communicating with the people who made the open world. So I don't know, man. It's a messy game. But that said, I've quite enjoyed my time with it, and the story's very good. The writing's very good. The main character especially has a really good voice actor, and it has some really great music and atmosphere and that sort of thing. It's a very gothic sort of game, you know. It's a little oppressive at times. Like literally every single area is dark, depressing, you know, and traumatic. There is no bright spots in this game whatsoever. Like some games, like they do this thing where they specifically, I'll actually tell you about my interview with the Ashen devs in a bit as well, because I interviewed the Ashen devs this week. But I was speaking to the devs of Ashen this week, and they were telling me about how they didn't want the whole game to be this oppressive, shadowy, dark place. And they showed me some areas that were like more brightly colored and, you know, a little bit more interesting to offer a reprieve from all the darkness and depressing areas and stuff. Vampyr is not like that. It's like it has one mode, depressing and dark, and that's it. Which is great, but I know a lot of people probably won't like that. So conflicted, man. That's my feelings about Vampyr so far. But the story's keeping, even though with all these problems though, the story's keeping me going. So it has that going for it, I guess.
Right.
Other than that, I've been back on The Division.
Ooh, The Division. You're getting ready for next year for Division 2?
I am indeed, because
Agent?
in the Division now, there's this Shields thing where you do like challenges in Division 1 and you can unlock things for Division 2. So I thought, since it's on Game Pass now, the game world's populated again because everyone's on Game Pass, and I thought this would be a good time to go back and try it out and try and do some of that Shield content and basically experience the end game as it's progressed over the last 2-3 years now, I think. And honestly, the game just feels a lot better, even leveling up at low level. So I'll talk about the end game Division once I get there, because I deleted my character to force myself to start over.
Oh, okay. So so when you originally played it, you did whatever, and then you took that character, deleted it, so you could start over from the very beginning again.
Yes, like I reviewed the Division, and I got to level 30. I got like full exotic gear and all that sort of stuff, and did a bit of the Dark Zone before everyone just got way better gear than me. But I played till the first incursion launched, and I hated it so much that I just quit playing and never looked back. But everyone says that it's improved a lot, so I want to find out if it's actually true. So we'll see, man. But I've been enjoying it, playing with Roby on the streams. Enjoying it, man.
Awesome. So Crew 2. Have you gotten a chance to play Crew 2?
They gave me a code. I'm not reviewing it though. Richard Devine's reviewing it for Windows Central because he actually has a race car license. So he's our racing guy. He actually knows about cars, unlike me. I don't know nothing about cars. So, but I haven't tried it myself yet. I've got it installed, but you know how I feel about racing games, Rand.
Yeah, I know. So here's the thing. Like, I feel like they saw Forza Horizon and was like, they were like, kind of like, copy that a little. Because it does feel very much like Forza Horizon, but obviously nowhere near as good. And there's obviously one quote that sums up the Crew 2. And that is, Jack of all trades, master of none. Right? Because it wants to do everything. It wants to have every type of racing imaginable, from street racing to drag racing to hypercar racing to touring racing to racing on a boat, racing in a plane, airplane stunts, rally raids, rallycross, motocross, right? They have so many different disciplines, but it doesn't do any one of those particularly well. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many of them, so many different types, but it's like, there's not one like that it just kind of owns. And then because it has all these different types, there's not that many events for each one of them. There's like 10 circuit races or 10 street races. There's like 5 drag races, right? And so, like, you unlock other types of races as you earn more fans. And you earn more fans by completing the races, and you get a couple thousand every time. So once you say, like, for instance, I hate drag racing in this game, right? I hate it. I don't want to do it. But, like, when you're playing and you want to unlock, say I really like street racing, well, when the game starts off, you only have 3 straight races event. And then you actually have to level up to get access to the next 3, and then level up again to get access to the next 4. And every time you level up, there's always these new activities and different disciplines, but you may not like some of the disciplines. Like, I don't like the flying in the game, right? I don't like flying around the plane. So it has a couple modes that I do enjoy and a couple modes that I don't enjoy, but then it wants me to play the couple modes I don't enjoy to earn XP and money, so eventually I can unlock some of the stuff for the other modes I do enjoy. And on the crux of this is this big, gigantic open world, because it's supposed to be like the entirety of the United States, right, Jez? Like the map. Like, oh, it's the United States. It's literally the United States. Like, you can drive from New York. There's a race where you have to drive from New York to San Francisco, I think. It's a 40-minute race. Do you not know anything about the crew, like what it was?
Nope.
So the crew was basically you're stuck on the America, and it's the entirety. It's like the map is literally the map of the United States. Like
Not one-to-one scale, surely.
I mean, no, not obviously not one-to-one scale, but like Chicago's there, and you can drive downtown Chicago and see the buildings. Los Angeles is there, and they have the convention center where E3 is, and there's buildings, and New York and Florida, and you can drive in between each one of those things. But the thing is, like, since there's so many different activities to do, and they have fast travel, right? So, like, I want to go to race. So, like, when I choose the next activity to do, like, next circuit race, so say I just finished a race in Las Vegas, which Las Vegas looks really cool in the game, by the way, because it has, like, it's literally just a replica of Las Vegas, especially at night when all the neon lights are out and stuff, right? So, I just did a street race in Vegas. My next street race to progress, to get more fans, to get more money, and to kind of like finish off that section is all the way in Miami, right? So I could set a line and I could drive there, which would take 15 minutes, or I can just fast travel. So why would you ever want to drive there? So you just fast travel. So like the big map is essentially pointless because every time I do all the circuit races, I just fast travel in between each one. I do the boat races, I just fast travel between like all of them. And there's like no point to the open world because you're constantly just fast traveling to each point. And Cyberman says your racing sucks, Rand. I saw that drive off the bridge in your vid. That's the thing. So here's the thing with the crew. Like in the very beginning of the game, your car isn't very well equipped. Its performance levels are no, so they don't brake well, they don't drift well, they don't take corners well, they don't, like it's a low level car, so driving can be a tad bit difficult. And the whole thing is, as you play and as you complete more events, at the end of every event, Jazz, you're gonna like this: you get loot. You get color coded loot from commons to rares to ultras to legendaries, and those loot levels up your car. So I've started with this one car. It's an Aston Martin, and it was like performance level 130, right? And I was having a tough time controlling it. It just didn't feel well. The physics are kind of weird, but like me and Maka were playing this in co-op, which you can play the game completely in co-op, and I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's more beneficial because it's easier to win, and only like your one teammate only has to kind of be the one to win for you to get rewards for it. And then eventually I took that car that started at 140 and I have it up to 210 now. And now the car runs like a dream. It's fast. It takes corners extremely well. I can actually use turbo out of a drift. And because of that, like, so they intentionally screw up the cars or make them crappy in the beginning. So you want to keep on using that car and leveling up the parts so the car actually becomes really drivable towards the later in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then of course, maybe the worst thing about it is the AI in the game. Man, talk about rubber band AI. Talk about AI that is literally on your ass no matter how well you do, right? You could be in a 10-minute race doing extremely well, and the AI will be right there behind you. And all it takes is one mistake, and you will make a mistake. You will hit something, and then the computer passes you up, and it's goodbye. Good luck trying to catch them. So the AI is, it's just broken. The AI is just broken in the game. Which is
tune it.
No, you can't tune it. There's like normal and there's hard. But the thing is, I was telling you, playing with a friend is better. The events, none of them really have you coming in first place. And I think they know the AI is really screwed up, because for like 90% of the events, your objective is to come in the top 3. Not even to win, just come in the top 3. Because I think they realized that the AI was just so broken that they couldn't have you, like, the objective be to win. because of how like bad the AI is. Like the rubber banding in this game is ridiculous for the AI, just utterly ridiculous. But then sometimes in the rally raids, which is a race that is in an open field and there's really no point to point, you just got to get somewhere as quick as possible. There's no like routes. The AI will take the slowest route, and you're just cutting through everything, so you'll beat the AI by 30 seconds. But in the street races, since it's just kind of a circuit, they're right there, man. And it's pretty bad. So like while I was playing the game in the beginning, I was quite enjoying it because it felt very Forza Horizon to me. I'm like, yes, this is what I want. I love Forza Horizon. And playing this one though, like the more I play it, the more I just don't like it because it's opening up more of the disciplines for things I don't care about, like drifting and drag racing, and it doesn't have enough events of the stuff I actually do care about. There's not that many events, but they make you play all the other stuff to actually level up. And then, of course, there's the AI problem, and there's no point to the gigantic map because you're just fast traveling in between every event to get there as fast as possible and race. I don't know, man.
It sounds confused.
That's what it is. And the other thing, the biggest problem I have is the lack of direction. So like I find myself when in a race constantly having to look at my mini map to see where I'm turning or what do I need, like what upcoming turns I need to make. Unlike like Forza Horizon or even Onrush or some of these other games, like I'm focused on the race, like where I'm going, like what direction am I headed in. But in this one, my eyes are constantly darting, like looking at the minimap. Okay, I need to take a right and then a left. Right? There's no like a line or whatever you want to call it to like show you or like, okay, so the line's gonna go this way and that way. It's just like literally like you'll be going really fast, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's yellow signs that go left. It's like, man, and then if you don't take it right and you hit something, well, then the AI passes you up. And there's no rewind, so it's kind of just, you know what I mean? Like, It's kind of like start the race over. And which sucks because there are some endurance races. Like there's like I said, a 40-minute race, a few 20-minute races, a few 10-minute races. And I've had one who was a 5-minute race, and on the last turn, I hit something and I stalled, and it was a one race where I actually had to win because there's only like 4 or 5 of those. And because I hit that in the final turn, even though I was leading the entire time, even though like at one point the AI was 12 seconds ahead of me, and then 2 seconds later they were a second behind me, they passed me up and I lost and I had to redo the race. Stuff like that kind of grates on my nerves. So that's kind of been my feeling so far with Crew 2. So I don't know, man. If you're a fan of the first one, maybe check this out. I mean, I'll try to finish it. Actually complete, because there's like 4 different disciplines. Like each one has its own section, and to fight the final boss of each discipline, you got to complete 70% of the events in that discipline. And like, so you'll be basically, if you want to complete the game, you're gonna have to actually like try to maybe do stuff you don't like. Like I hate the drag racing, but luckily Maka was good at drag racing, so he won all the events for me. But if I had to do that stuff on my own, I'd be like, no, man, no. So not as good as Forza Horizon. And honestly, if I had a choice between, Onrush and Crew 2, I think Onrush is better. So I don't know. That's the Crew 2 in a nutshell.
Well, I don't love racing games. Like I enjoyed Forza Horizon 3 just because, it was really fun. But to me, it's like racing is a mini game of a bigger game. Which I know is going to make some people angry, but I just don't like racing games. I don't know. I'm more of like a role playing kind of guy. But it doesn't sound like I'll enjoy the Crew 2 if it's worse than Forza. I think that's the problem. It's like Forza has kind of set the standard now, and every game that tries to copy it will just seem like Forza but worse. I think the Crew needs to find its own identity, because that's why like all MMOs just flop, because they're just like World of Warcraft but worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So that's what we've been playing this week. You want to delve into the topics?
Yeah, man. Let's do
I want to
this.
get into. You know what? Let's get into your leakage. Let's leak.
Leak things.
Let's talk about your leakages this week.
Which leak do you want to talk about first?
Keyboard and mouse, baby. Keyboard and mouse.
Okie dokie. So,
Because that is a hot button issue. People are just waiting to play the keyboard and mouse on Xbox, right?
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I've seen like a lot of outlets covered this story, um, from us, and a lot of them sort of added their own hot takes on it and stuff. And some people like all for it, other people were like scared of it, and I kind of understand the apprehension. So when I wrote the piece, I really wanted to emphasize the the parts where Microsoft was basically basically Microsoft gave devs an ultimatum. Um, we are a dev centric company. We don't want to tell you what to do, but they actually use, I mean, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but they use language like, we strongly urge you to prioritize multiplayer balance when considering mouse and keyboard support. So like, and also they emphasize things like separate matchmaking and stuff like that. So I mean, before we get really into it, I'll for those who don't know or didn't see the article, I'll bring you up to speed. Basically, I recently came across documents which pointed to a partnership between Razer and Microsoft to bring RGB lighting mouse and keyboards to Xbox One. During that presentation, Microsoft went into some detail on how Microsoft mouse and keyboard was planning to be implemented on Xbox. These documents are from earlier in the year, so maybe the plans aren't going ahead. Maybe they are. Maybe they'll be different. So you can never know whether these things will actually ever come out, as we saw with career mode. But the documents are definitely real, and The Verge verified them with their own sources too. So basically, Microsoft is looking to bring mouse support to Xbox One games, or more accurately to say, they are going to bring mouse support for developers to use in Xbox One games with caveats. Now, in the document, it says one of those caveats is there cannot be a mouse only game on Xbox One. Every single game has to work with a controller. They don't want to get into a situation where people want there to be a controller support and it's not there. So like Microsoft is sort of prioritizing the console experience as they look to bring in these peripherals on board. But at the same time, they want to give devs the freedom to choose how they want mouse and keyboard support to be implemented, and also make sure that multiplayer balance is preserved. Now, some of the ways they're looking into doing this is because mouse and keyboard support will require the use of an API, an application interface. Basically, what that means is a game will be able to pull the console and see what peripherals are connected or in use. So, like, they will be able to split playlists up by peripheral usage. So, like, if they detect that the player is using a mouse and keyboard, they will restrict them to a mouse and keyboard only playlist. And similarly, if they're using the gamepad, and you just choose the playlist you want to join, and that's like if developers choose to use it like that. Of course, developers could choose to just have a free for all, like they've pretty much done in Sea of Thieves, where people with mouse and keyboard can fight against people with a controller. But they've done some pretty clever things in Sea of Thieves to maintain balance there. Like all the guns they don't have much ammo in the clip, and you can't turn very fast while aiming, even when using the mouse. I think they have tweaked that a bit. But like Sea of Thieves, Rare was telling me that they saw that mouse and keyboard players in Sea of Thieves only have like an extra 2% efficiency versus controller players in that game. So like that they consider that to be an acceptable level of difference, and I think that's fair enough. So it'll be on a. Oh, and Gears of War 4 as well has like a mixed playlist, right?
Hmm.
And because Gears of War is more to do with wall bouncing skill and you know, flanking and stuff like that, that apparently the keyboard and mouse doesn't make much of a difference in that game either versus gamepad players. So there are ways it can be balanced and still be fun, but like they're like, if it looks like the balance is going to be thrown really off, like it would in say Battlefield, um, they tell people to split up the player base between different peripherals. Additionally, they also said that they have an API which will detect peripherals which aren't supported by Windows Update. So basically, any mouse and keyboard that downloads its drivers from Windows Update will work, but unauthorized keyboards and mice, like that XIM emulator, controller emulator keyboard, which people use in Call of Duty a lot, that can potentially be blocked if a developer wants to block it. So Microsoft is looking into letting devs block those keyboards and mice which would circumvent this technology. So that's pretty much the information we got. And some people were freaked out by it. Some people thought it was cool. What's your take on it, Ran?
I mean, I don't know. Look, as long as I don't have to play against people playing with the keyboard and mouse on a shooter, then I really don't care that much. I don't know. Like I feel like that's the core issue. Like I have no problem with someone hooking up a keyboard and mouse and playing their single player games, right? We all know Microsoft is about removing restrictions and playing the games how you want to play, right? If you want to play Deus Ex Mankind Divided and you want to play with the keyboard and mouse on the Xbox, then that's awesome. Like, play how you want to play. I don't have any issues with that. The issue I do have is like, you know, I mentioned before on this podcast, and everybody knows I play PUBG a lot on Xbox. Yes, it's terribly unoptimized port. I don't know what the hell Bluehole's thinking or doing. The fact that it's been
Is it still bad?
Oh, it's still bad, dude. It's still bad. I mean, it seems like they fixed the crashing issue, thank God, but there's still just basic stuff. The frame rate's still it's a bad port, and they should be ashamed for 7 months in, and they, you know, oh, but hey, Rand, you can't really criticize game previews on whatever. Thing is, like, I don't want to have to play against somebody who's playing in that game on a keyboard and mouse. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I'm fine if it's just for single player, you play how you want. But man, like, please do not force any sort of cross-play stuff. Like, I don't want to play against PC people on keyboard and mouse. Like, if you need to do like playlists where, hey, this is a playlist on Xbox for keyboard and mouse, playlist for Xbox with controller, then do that. But please don't mix and match, because I'm of the opinion that a player with a keyboard and mouse will absolutely destroy a player on a controller. So, and I don't want to see that happen. I mean, maybe they get it. I know people like, oh, Sea of Thieves has that and State of Decay 2, but like, for the most part, Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 really aren't like competitive. Well, especially State of Decay 2. State of Decay 2 is very cooperative, and that's fine. You want to play, you're on the Xbox, your buddy's on PC, and you want to kill some zombies together. Who cares if one's playing on keyboard and mouse and one playing on the controller? Sea of Thieves, I know there's a little competitiveness there with the ship-to-ship combat, but I don't really think it's that big of like point of the game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't played it enough or whatever. But like, it's not like Halo where you jump into multiplayer and it's like, you know, PvP. That's the stuff that I'm worried about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, they need to be careful with this. Is all I'm saying. They need to be extremely careful.
I agree. I think like it concerns me a little bit that Microsoft's they strongly urge developers to prioritize multiplayer balance, but they don't mandate. Now, it bothers me that Microsoft isn't issuing a policy. They should issue a policy, I think, of just saying like, if we think this is going to be unbalanced, then we're going to block it. I think Microsoft should probably have final say there, because ultimately it's their platform and their experience, and they are having the final say when it comes to not allowing mouse and keyboard only games on the console. See, I would be totally fine if like there were mouse and keyboard only games, because some games are just designed for mouse and keyboard, and there's no other way that could run, or at least not without significantly reworking the game. Like Stellaris, for example, which I'm a big fan of. It's a 4X strategy game in space where you control, you control like a galactic empire and stuff. You can't manage all that little stuff and all those menus with the controller, or not very efficiently. So like if those games were to come to Xbox and only support mouse and keyboard, I think that'd be awesome, because they're basically saying to devs, we're not going to force you to add gamepad support if it doesn't make sense for your game. But Microsoft, fair enough to them, they said, well, this is a console first. We want to prioritize the living room experience, so we want to make sure every game on our platform can be played with a gamepad. But they're not forcing devs to be considerate about where the multiplayer stuff happens. Like, are they going to force devs to, keep their games balanced? Are they going to force devs to, what if Razer has a partnership with Battlefield for Xbox mouse and keyboard, and then Xbox mouse and keyboard just becomes the favored input for Battlefield for some reason? That'll screw over anyone who doesn't want to play with mouse and keyboard. I just hope that it doesn't lead to those kind of scenarios. And like you, I think they just need to be really careful with it, especially if they're putting it in developers' hands, because developers only care about money at the end of the day.
Yes, they do. They only really care about what can you do to help me sell more copies of my game on your platform. Otherwise, They don't care. Yeah. I know it's a slippery slope, though. It is what it. I mean, it's a slippery slope. And it's going to be interesting to see how Microsoft implements it. I'm sure there are people out there who don't want this, period. Like, they don't want keyboard and mouse anywhere near the system.
It's already happened, though. I mean, I play State of Decay with PC gamers who use keyboard and mouse.
But here's the thing. I wonder, like, I know Microsoft is all about removing restrictions, right? Clearly. But I do wonder, like, who this is for. Are they trying to draw in PC users to be like, well, now I can use my keyboard and mouse on my Xbox, so I'm going to do it there? You know what? Like, it seems like a weird thing, because the console is for console gamers, right? Xbox is at this point where, like, all their exclusives are on the PC. So if you were a PC gamer, you just play on PC, you have your keyboard and mouse, you have Xbox Play Anywhere, you can play your games. Like, one of the reasons I'm a console gamer is I don't really like to screw around with keyboard and mouse very much. So is there a large contingent of people on Xbox that, like console gamers that have been like, give me keyboard and mouse? Or is this something that Microsoft has heard from developers? Because I really don't see a large outcry from console people about, like, give us keyboard and mouse, considering, like, the majority of users on PlayStation and Xbox are going to be casuals. They're not going to give a shit. So, like, who are they trying to serve here? Like, in my opinion, and I've said this to people at Xbox, it's just, I don't think anybody's going to use it, because I don't think there's anybody on the platform that wants it. Like, who is knocking down Microsoft's door and be like, give me keyboard and mouse support on my Xbox? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it.
I feel the same way, and it made sense to me if it meant that games that only supported mice, like strategy games and stuff like that, if they were coming to Xbox, it makes sense, because it would mean all of a sudden there's going to be way more games, because one of the things that holds some games back, like strategy games, real-time strategy games, is that they don't want to rework their game, rebalance their game for controller support, because it's a significant undertaking. Like, fixing City Skylines for gamepad support was like a huge amount of work. It took them like a year to make it fully work with a gamepad, and fair play, they did a really good job. But That's a lot of money, man. That's a big investment.
Well, Cypherman says you all do know that PC people use keyboard. Not all PC people use keyboard and mouse. You can pop in a controller as well. I know. I mean, I know you can use a controller on PC, but even then, like,
well, that's one of the things you always hear though from PC gamers is like, oh, I'll never play a shooter with a gamepad because it feels sluggish because they say they can't aim properly with it and stuff like that.
I'm curious to see who exactly is using it, and I'm interested in also knowing when they implement it, what the usage rate is, because I know Microsoft is very much keen on, X amount of percentage of people actually use this or blah blah blah, and they've gotten rid of, features because of that, because nobody was using it, right? And I just can't imagine there, like, a lot of Xbox gamers were asking for this feature, because if you wanted this feature, if you want a keyboard and mouse, you have the PC where all the Xbox games are. So, and most of the third-party games are going to run better and play better on the PC. I don't know. I'm just confused about who really wants this.
It's an option for the way I see it is I mean, the presentation, it was all about developers. I mean, two people. It's about developers and also about keyboard manufacturers. I mean, they literally had Razer do the presentation with them, and they were like, we're expanding. It was all about the Razer Chroma ecosystem, the smart lights and all this stuff. And it was like, we're expanding the Razer Chroma ecosystem to Xbox. You'll be able to set up Chroma keyboard lighting for games and stuff like that. I think like it might even already be there, like the Chroma stuff. I can't remember if it is or not. But I mean, ultimately, that's what it boils down to. It's like, it was all about devs, and it was just like, if you want to add this, it's going to be here for you. They said in the presentation it would be in the April XDK in beta, and that they could request access with their Microsoft account manager and stuff like that. So presumably it'll probably come by maybe RS5, which is the fall Redstone 5 update. But I don't know, man. Like I said, plans can and do change. And I asked Mike Ibarra in my interview. I said, like, what's new with mouse and keyboard support, and he didn't have anything to tell me. So like, part of me wonders if Mike said, I think Mike, to paraphrase Mike, he said in my interview that if more gamers want it, we'll look at rolling it out further than Minecraft and stuff. So I think for Microsoft, at least for Microsoft's part, they probably are looking at the usage stats on Minecraft, because Minecraft does have mouse and keyboard support on Xbox right now, and UWP games do in general. So I don't know, man. It's a weird one. I think Microsoft's just sort of trying it out. It might just go nowhere. No devs will want to use it. Then maybe they won't want to risk the balance of their games. But I was thinking, like, it'd be cool if some mouse and keyboard only games could come across. Like, can you imagine playing Civ on your Xbox? That'd be cool. But apparently not, because it needs gamepad support. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll eventually find out. But your other article today about Xbox community, what was it? Let me find the article here.
The Xbox community content platform. They're calling it Xbox community content. I'm sure it'll have a different name later, but that's what they're calling it right now.
What exactly is that? So is that like user created mods?
Okay, so the Xbox community content platform, which was the same event, actually, GDC, I believe, or no, XFest, around the time of GDC. They announced that Microsoft is setting up a modding platform for Xbox that's similar to what's it called now? The Steam version of mods. It's not Steamworks, is it? I can't remember. Steam Workshop, I think it's called. So basically, Microsoft's setting up its own version of Steam Workshop. So basically, what that'll mean is that right now, games on Xbox can support mods, but developers like Bethesda, they have to set up their own systems for the mods, which is a significant amount of work for a smaller dev. So what Microsoft is doing with the community content platform is they are taking the work out of devs' hands and they're saying we'll handle the store links, the platform for moderation, the curation, and you'll be able to see the mods in the different stores, the Windows Store and the Microsoft and the Xbox Store, which is now just called the pretty much just called the Microsoft Store now, I guess. But basically, this means that devs will be able to put mods in their game without having to code their own system and their own catalog and their own store for it. Again, it's all up to devs how they use this. They can make paid mods and then pay mod creators if they want to. They can say that you can only add skins. They can say you can add like full levels and gameplay stuff, like the way Bethesda does it. They can make it so adding mods disables achievements and stuff like that, like how Bethesda does it again. So it's completely up to devs how they use this, and it won't lead to a situation where people are using mods to hack the Xbox One, because it's still going to be this like completely closed system. It's not like PC style mods, which are basically file injections and stuff like that. It's still going to be very, very controlled and curated. Think Fallout mods and the way that works. It's just going to be like that. But Microsoft's making a system for devs so they can do it without having to code their own system. So that in that presentation they said that would arrive in beta for devs around now, and roll out mod libraries, approved libraries would roll out by the end of the summer. So that should be coming around RS5 as well, possibly, to a game preview. So
I will say mods are pretty cool. Like I know there are some really cool mods they do on PC, and that's one of the reasons people love the PC is because how open it is, and user created mods and stuff. And it's one of the things I thought we would never really see on any console was mods. I know Bethesda introduced it with Fallout, and Sony was kind of like, but they kind of allowed it to a certain degree. So to see this kind of open up a little bit more, would be pretty interesting.
Some of the restrictions that Bethesda's mods have now on Xbox is that they're not allowed to have. They've got there's like a storage limit on them. I think you're not allowed to have mods above a certain size, and also there's something else that's that sort of limits the amount of mods that it can get. I think as well they still have to obey the Xbox terms of service, so there won't be any like super vulgar illegal mods like you get on Fallout on PC. I don't know if you've seen some of the mods that you can get on Fallout PC, but it's pretty scary sometimes. But it's still going to be a very controlled sort of modding platform, not like a full Wild West free for all like it is on PC, like where people are hacking games and stuff like that. But it is going to bring a lot of new stuff to Xbox potentially, and also like opportunities for amateur developers and 3D modelers and stuff like that to maybe even sell their content, which typically they give it away for free now. And I know like when Steam announced that they were going to make this paid modding platform, PC gamers freaked out because historically,
they sure did. Yep.
Historically mods are free. But the thing is, I think like if there's a talented artist, why shouldn't he expect to get paid? I don't know. That's the way I feel about it. And like if a developer says, we'll let you put it for free, or we'll let you put it up for a price, we'll take a cut, blah blah blah, I don't see the issue with that at all. And I think console players are pretty much more used to DLC skin packs.
Console players are used to paying for stuff. That's why multiplayer is $60 a year on PlayStation and Xbox, and Nintendo's charging for it, while PC players won't wouldn't accept that. And I think console gamers are just more accepted to paying for things, whereas PC gamers are just used to like the only thing they pay for is the game. Everything else is kind of like mods are free.
They don't even pay for that half the time.
I mean, piracy. I mean, piracy existed even on the. I mean, like the 360 was pirates heaven. You get one of those flash consoles and you pretty much play all the different games or whatever. I mean, people are always looking to get like free stuff no matter where they are. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Mods are pretty cool. But did you see this article filed by Kotaku about 20 minutes ago?
Nope.
Sources: Google is planning a game platform that could take on Xbox and PlayStation.
Well, duh. I mean, sources. They seriously needed sources for that.
Well, I mean, I see the article. It says over the past few months, the wildest rumors in video game industry circles haven't involved PlayStation 5 or Xbox 2. The most interesting chatter is centered on a tech company that's been quietly making moves to tackle video games in a big way: Google, the conglomerate that operates our email, internet browsers, and much more. We haven't heard many specifics about Google's video game plans, but we have heard is it is a three-pronged approach: some sort of streaming platform, some sort of hardware, and an attempt to bring game developers under the Google umbrella, whether through aggressive recruiting or even major acquisitions. That's the word from 5 people who have been either briefed on Google's plans or heard about them secondhand.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing this for a long time too. I mean, man, we've talked about it on this show, I think. I've definitely talked about it in the past. It's not news. But do you want to talk about that now?
I mean, it seems kind of. I mean, I don't know. I saw the article and I'm like, well, I mean, Google entering like the gaming on the level of Xbox and PlayStation. I mean, that's pretty huge.
They're gonna have a difficult time because.
Well, of course they're gonna have a difficult time, but still, they have a lot of money.
They do have a lot of money, but it's like, how much they want to spend? Like, they're gonna do it half-assed and stuff like that. I mean, gaming's huge, right? And they realize now that they'll never catch Microsoft in the cloud because Microsoft's going to use the cloud and they're going to use gaming to get more customers into their cloud. And gaming is like this huge, huge thing that Microsoft has strength over Google that Google just doesn't have right now. It has like Android gaming, but Google doesn't make a penny on that, from what I understand. And they're going to have a huge issue because getting the content onto their platform out of nowhere is going to be as hard or maybe even harder than getting apps on Windows Phone back in the day.
Here's the thing about Google, right? Is
unless they buy Sony.
Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, we've discussed this on the podcast. Exclusives kind of define the console that you play on, right? If you like Last of Us and Uncharted and all those other games, you get a PlayStation. If you like Halo, Gears, you get an Xbox. If you enjoy Mario and some of those other things, you get a Nintendo system. And then the third-party games are, brought to the system so you can have stuff to buy outside of like the exclusive games that you enjoy. And that's kind of been how video games have worked since, I don't know, the dawn of time, right? Like Nintendo versus Sega, Mario versus Sonic. Like each platform always had like exclusive games to the console that you wanted to play. But here's Google. Google really doesn't have anything, right? They don't have any marquee titles. I mean, I know when Microsoft came in, they didn't, but Microsoft started buying up developers, buying up games. And it makes me wonder. It's like, okay, why would anybody who's in the gaming industry right now, like, why would you suddenly start playing on a Google device? This, whatever they call it. It's I just like, okay,
Google
they're
Box.
not gonna. Yeah, okay, so like they're not gonna have any. Well, unless they start buying up studios left and right, kind of like what Microsoft just did. They bought 4 new studios and they're building one. Unless they're building new studios and buying studios. And actually buying studios that maybe have a high quality IP under them, so you get people to actually want to check it out. It's like, what do they really offer? Streaming platform? Is that really that important? I mean, maybe it'll be important in 10 years, and Microsoft clearly thinks it's important. But it's like, is that something where you're like, oh man, I'm gonna go with Google because I can stream my game? And what they're, I don't know. Like, I don't doubt that they want to get in. but I'm kind of confused about like who would actually want to, switch from where they're currently at to game with Google. You know what I'm thinking?
Nobody.
Like, exactly nobody. So it's like they either have to do like something amazing where like you can play all these third party games really, 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 really cheap, like $10 for like a Google stick, and then it's the price thing where they introduce a piece of hardware that's extremely cheap, and then okay, well screw this, I'm playing over here, or they got to really have some exclusive content that you need to have, but they don't have that currently. So it's like, are they about to just go on a major spending spree? And hypothetical, what if they go? This is never going to happen. And I know Sony fans in the chat are going to eat me alive. What if they go to Sony and be like, give us Gorilla and give us Naughty Dog? They go to Microsoft and be like, we'll pay you for 343, and they go to Nintendo and be like, give us Retro. I mean, it would never ever happen in a million years, but that's what they need. Unless, of course, they're thinking outside the box and they're thinking not along the lines of true console gaming, but something different. I mean, we've talked about this before, me and you, about Google getting in there, and even Amazon, because Amazon was buying up studios at one point, remember?
And Amazon has been poaching Xbox staff left, right, and center as well.
And there's going to be a big kind of heavyweight fight. I know people think it's Xbox versus PlayStation or PlayStation versus Nintendo, but everybody forgets Apple, everybody forgets Google, everybody forgets Amazon and how much money they have and what they can do. And Microsoft's like kind of thing right now is their goal is 2 billion people, and I'm sure Google probably feels the same. I don't know, Jez. I don't know why anybody would choose Google. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, this is the weird thing about Google. Google has the 2 billion, but they don't give them any money. They buy like tiny little a trickle of microtransactions, and like they don't buy $60 titles. They play free-to-play games. And like, there's no, the Android App Store doesn't. I've always heard that the Android App Store doesn't make real money for Google. And,
well, in the article, here's what it says. It says Google also took meetings at E3 a few weeks ago. The source says, and from what we've heard, the company is looking not to just woo game developers to the Yeti service, but to buy developmental studios outright entirely.
I wouldn't be surprised because Amazon bought. What are they called now? Not Iron Galaxy, the other one. The Killer Instinct dev from season 1.
Double Helix? Yeah, they canceled their game.
Yeah, so, I mean, exactly, they canceled their game. It's not going to be as easy as Google thinks. And, but the thing is, I think what you said about Google thinking outside the box and doing something a bit more nimble, a bit different, maybe on price, that's how Google muscled in with Chrome OS. Is they're basically like, they were just like to schools, yeah, Chrome OS sucks compared to Windows, but hey, we're really cheap and we've got everything you need. So, and now Chrome OS, Microsoft actually perceives Chrome OS as a threat now. So, so there's every chance that Google could, come up with some unique, cheaper way to do regular console gaming things, and people just, they're not loyal to anything but money at the end of the day. And if Google offers something the same but cheaper, people will move.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if like they can somehow court the third parties to be able to like stream their games for incredibly cheap on incredibly cheap hardware, where you could play. I don't know. I'm not even thinking about like you play Call of Duty and Battlefield like extremely cheap, but then they're gonna want to still charge $100 to $60 on this stuff. Like, it's going to be interesting. I don't know, man. Like, gaming is at that point where, like, if this is true, you got next generation starting up, Xbox 2, PlayStation 5, right? Now you have like Google like trying to get in with whatever they're doing, and everybody's doing streaming now. Microsoft's doing streaming, EA's doing streaming. Isn't there some like GeForce Now? Nvidia, don't they do streaming? Like
GeForce Now.
Yeah, GeForce Now. Like and PlayStation already has streaming with PlayStation Now. I mean,
that's the thing though. Google can't take PlayStation and Sony head on. They don't have the IP. They don't have the goodwill. They can't take them head on. They can't just brute force with money. They've got to come up with something off the wall like Chrome OS, something different, and you know, maybe they'll pull it off. Who knows? Or maybe it'll just be a catastrophic failure like Google Plus.
Well,
Trying to
usually
take on
everything
Facebook.
Google does outside of like Google itself has kind of been a failure, right?
Pretty much. I think like YouTube's never made any money,
Nope.
ever. And then you've got Android, which Microsoft earns billions of dollars a year on patent royalties for. um, and also Google completely lost control of Android because of how open it is. You've got Tencent as well. Tencent controls Android in China, not Google, especially on the gaming front. And then what else has Google got? Search. Chrome OS was a failure.
I mean, don't forget,
what else do they make?
Google did hire Phil Harrison back in January.
Yep.
And he worked at Sony and Microsoft, and there's a reason he's there to do whatever. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean,
what do people like? What did people think when they hired Phil Harrison, that he was going to be there working on Chrome or something? They hired him because he built gaming platforms, and that's why it's just obvious that Google's trying to get into this space.
It says Google has been on a massive hiring spree, bringing in experienced video game developers and marketers from EA, PlayStation, and many other top companies. But it's still like here we are talking about skeptical, right? And there's actually a quote in here. It says, still, some developers we've spoken to have heard about the project are skeptical. Google's history of starting and abandoning initiatives is a red flag, as is the lack of proper internet infrastructure across rural America. If Google were to launch dedicated hardware, what games would it launch with? What would entice developers to port to the platform? Video game history is littered with consoles that attempted to take on Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft only to fail in style, mostly due to the lack of killer app video games, which is a reality Google must face. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those situations where unless they go out and buy some big studios and get some like huge IP, then I don't really see this taking off. And
I don't want to sit here and say that they can't do it, because
well, of course they can do it. Will they be successful doing it is the question.
I don't even want to say that like they won't be successful. I just like, because if they've got a really great idea, a USP that can disrupt the industry, then fair enough. But like, if they try and take Sony and PlayStation head on, like all those other consoles did, and Nintendo as well, it's going to be such a huge, massive fail. And I don't know. Google just kind of sucks, man. I don't like them.
Yeah, I mean, we're in for interesting times, man. Next gen's right around the corner. There's clearly things going on at all these different companies. They all have an eye on gaming, and not even like mobile gaming, which is great. Like actual like console gaming, whether it's
that's where the money is, man.
Streaming.
There's no money in mobile gaming unless you're like,
come on, there's money in mobile gaming.
Yeah, if you're a publisher, but not if you're a platform holder.
True. It's gonna be an interesting couple years. Like when I think of Google and even Amazon, I just like, you don't have anything. Like you have nothing. So like the only way you could somehow squeak in is like you're offering hardware super cheap. I can't. I don't know. I don't see it. You know.
I don't see it.
Like I don't. But that was just kind of interesting because it just kind of dropped. So I figured we'd talk about that. So let's talk about you want to talk about State of Decay 2 real fast?
Yeah, let's talk about State of Decay 2, and then what we got after that, or should we take questions after that?
Got State of Decay 2. We got Halo.
Oh yeah, Halo TV.
Microsoft swinging for the fences. Or you know what? Let's go with Microsoft swinging for the fences because it kind of ties into State of Decay 2 as well.
Yeah. So talk us through this story.
So this story comes from Tick, the Inner Circle, who Sam Tolbert, who's in chat, is a part of. They had Richard.
Those guys actually.
Yeah, Sam does great work. Like I think he writes like 30 articles a day for them. You really should poach him, man. You really should.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Leonard hate me if I did that.
Yeah.
But hey, Sam, let's talk, man.
So Richard Fogg joined the Iron Lords podcast, which was a great podcast run by Lord Cognito and Lord King and Lord Addict and
Great
Lord
podcast.
Sovereign.
Shout out to them too.
I love those guys. Lord
They are
Cognito,
funny, man. I did that podcast with them, and they are hilarious.
best Mike, best intro man in the biz, especially when he goes introducing, right? Good stuff. So they had Richard Fogon from Undead Labs, and they were, talking about all the different things regarding State of Decay 2 and the acquisition. And I'll just quote it here. He goes on to say that this acquisition signals Microsoft and Undead Labs' commitment to growing State of Decay franchise and continuing to deliver the ultimate zombie survival experience for fans both new to the franchise and those already dedicated to the community, which is great. He goes on to say that it's still kind of early days in terms of what we're going to shape up to be. I get the impression I'm going to be working on State of Decay for the foreseeable future. I think, in my personal opinion, Microsoft is swinging for the fences. They're not fooling around. They really want to be on top. They want to be on top with the best games, the best hardware, and making people happy. So, I mean, it's more a reference to what we have been kind of talking about for months, that Microsoft's checkbook's open. That when Phil got promoted, it was all about like eyeing next generation with an eye to actually dominate next generation, right, Jazz?
Yeah. When I dropped that article about Terry Myerson not letting Microsoft spend money, everyone was saying shit like, "Oh, Jez is just damage controlling," and then. Do you think it's a coincidence that they suddenly bought 5 studios?
I know. The thing is, I know it's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like, I've spoken to people there, and they've told me, like, I'm not going to repeat, but, like, obviously, anybody with the brain can see that one dude's gone, and suddenly Microsoft is actually doing what they should have been doing for years.
You know what's scary? It's not just Xbox. It feels like everything at Microsoft is better right now. There was a new Skype. You know, I bitch about Skype sometimes. There was a new Skype dropped on the Alpha Ring. That's Xbox, on the Fast Ring, and it's so much better. And and it's not UWP anymore. They've gone with a different platform. And like, there's just so many other things that seem to be picking up now. Like the reorg has really helped things, but I digress.
Well, yeah. So, like, obviously, Microsoft is eyeing up for next generation. This gen. Hey, man, they got what's the right way to say this? They got their ass handed to them. They were going around with their tails tucking between their legs, basically. And after the Xbox One kind of didn't hit the numbers in the beginning, and everybody had to get fired, that's when the tightening of the grip came down, because it just kind of reinforced what people at the top thought about Xbox, that nobody really cared and it wasn't important. So obviously those people are gone, and suddenly the future looks pretty good. Granted, I think Microsoft should have been doing this for years. They should have been doing it way back in the 360, and we've talked about this on the show, but I guess better late than never. And competition is always good. Microsoft is, has an eye in the future. They want to win next generation. That's something that has been spoken to me. Like, they are rarely, they want to win, and they're putting the money in their mouth is why they are, building the next Xboxes with, potentially the best hardware spec, because they don't want to lose on that again. You have the new studios building new exclusives. They're not playing around, and I think you get the opinion from that when you talk to people like Richard Fogg here in this interview, that it's on. Like, this generation, maybe not so much. Like, things happened, you lick your wounds, but you regroup, and that's exactly what happened, and people got out of the way at the top of Microsoft to make it happen. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it's something, it's literally something we've been talking about for months, Jez.
It's just good to see it happening and other people realizing what we've been told.
Yeah.
It's,
Well,
it's all well and good to say these things like, oh, we knew this, and stuff, but ultimately it's on Microsoft to prove it. You
see,
know,
top dog. Shout out to Top Fraud. He says it's too late for Microsoft to win next gen. Maybe, maybe micro. And I'm of the opinion it's going to be like almost impossible for Microsoft to win next gen, mainly because the console only appeals to people in the United States and the United Kingdom. Like Sony just has a more worldwide appeal. And that's just straight facts. They more people like PlayStation. But just because you think they can't win doesn't mean they shouldn't try. And who knows? Maybe the streaming stuff does become incredibly important and does take off like they think, and they reach more gamers than Sony does. Who knows? You don't have a crystal ball. You don't know how next generation is going to play out. Maybe Sony makes an incredible dumb mistake.
they're good at that.
I mean, who never knows? I mean, you think Microsoft wasn't going to make a mistake at the beginning of this gen, and they surely did. Everybody was convinced Microsoft was going to destroy Sony this generation. They didn't. Everybody was convinced the PlayStation 3 was going to dominate. It didn't. We'll have to wait and see what happens with next generation.
People laughed at the Switch. The tech press laughed.
People laughed at the Wii, dude. Like yeah, like you never know. You never know in the video game industry what can happen from generation to generation. Uh, you know, it is what it is, man.
It's fun.
But like I said, if I had to put my money on it, if we're doing a traditional console cycle, no, Sony wins. Microsoft just doesn't appeal to like Europe, most of Europe, Asia. Like they just don't have that appeal. It'll be tight, and maybe they can, put up a good fight in like North America and the UK. But everywhere else, I mean, it's Sony land everywhere else for a reason. You know what I mean?
That's one of Microsoft's biggest weaknesses right now is appealing to countries outside of their base. They suck at it, man. They really suck at it. They're not even that great at doing it in the UK and Europe, where it should be easy. And this is a problem across the whole company. Like Surface, they're just a very insular American company, and I think they don't have a global reach in the way that Sony has curated over the decades. Microsoft hasn't been doing hardware for that long. Sony's been doing hardware for decades. Microsoft's like, hell, they used to do mice and keyboards in the 90s. That was the extent of Microsoft's hardware. They're a software company. It's in their name. It's not micro hard.
The friendly neighborhood blue shell in super chat says groove music revival possible. Sorry, probably not.
Dude, man, I want to say yes, and I tell you why. Right, I tell you why. Because the Surface Phone doesn't have a music app right now. Because there's no UWP music app. Spotify isn't UWP. So, and it was Terry Myerson's decision to shut down Groove Music. I know that for a fact. So, I want to believe, man. I want to believe. And I tried using YouTube Music recently. The selection is terrible. Like Groove Music literally almost had a one-to-one matched library with Spotify. People didn't give that service enough credit, man.
Yeah.
I want to believe it'll come back because it's a cloud service that if Google does get into gaming and they have the streaming thing, imagine if Google, and this is the strength of Amazon too. Amazon has a music service. Google has a music service. And imagine if they're like, yeah, we'll throw in the music service with our gaming service and you get both of them, blah, blah, blah. That's value that Microsoft can't add right now. Surely someone at the company's thinking about how stupid they are over that. I don't think that Groove would be gone if Meissen was ousted sooner. God, I just feel like Meissen is just on this. Maybe it was like a secret Google spy, and his job was to sabotage the whole company. What do you think, Ryan?
I think things would have been different if, like, I honestly think you probably would see sequels to different games. It just at different times. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think things would have been different for sure. But you know, they lost this generation. They got their asses kicked. They learned their lessons. They're gonna make a play for next gen. Will it work? Will it won't? Or will it work? Doesn't I mean, we'll have to find out. I mean, nobody knows for sure, despite the trolls in chat saying that it's impossible. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen. Never know what things can. You never know what the future holds. But State of Decay 2, proving the haters wrong, Jez. You know, people were upset and tried to discredit MPD when State of Decay was #1. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it in their small minds. They just couldn't. They just didn't understand. They did.
So I get like I get tweets about this from time to time where people are like, "Oh, MPD's fake news." It's fake news now.
Yeah. It's not fake news when they're reporting about God of War, but it's fake news when it's reporting about State of Decay. Yep.
People are so thick.
Yes, you know? Yes, they are. But anyways,
it doesn't mean State of Decay is a better game. People are like freaking out like that's what it means. I mean, if we go off purely from sales numbers, does that mean like Candy Crush and Angry Birds are the best games in the world? I don't think so, man.
All it means is
I don't want to live in that world.
All it means is it sold more copies. Who cares? But some people clearly do, because they won't accept the fact that it did. Which it's funny because Matt Piscatella was talking about that on Twitter. Like you know, like I don't know, it's funny. But anyways, State of Decay 2, they announced their new DLC today, the Independence Pack. Which came out, and they also mentioned
the Traitor Pack in the UK.
The Traitor Pack. They also mentioned that they're over 3 million players, and
I'm so shocked.
It seems like it's doing much better than Sea of Thieves was, because like the game's been out for about a month. So a month, 3 million players. First week, 1 million. Second week, 2 million. Month 3. Now, Sea of Thieves, when you compare it. Sea of Thieves hit 4 during E3. They had the trailer that came out and said 4 million players at E3, which was how many? Like 3 months after Sea of Thieves came out. So it seems like State of Decay is getting users quicker, at least, or it might hit 4 million faster than Sea of Thieves is. Now that might be to the low price point, $30 versus $60. They're both in Game Pass. But honestly, like this is something I didn't really expect.
I definitely didn't expect it. You know, this is what I expected, man. I expected nobody to buy the game and the franchise to be killed. That's literally what I expected, and I said that to Phil.
I wonder if they knew, like based on their pre-orders and all the other stuff, that the game was doing very well, which is why they decided to acquire the studio. You know?
I imagine so. I mean, State of Decay has its fan base, right? I mean, and we talked about this before. That
clearly people like it a lot.
There's no game like it. You know, it's janky, it's buggy. I mean, it's improved a lot today from the huge patch they dropped. It's a lot better than it was at launch. There's been multiple patches, and today they dropped a 7 GB patch. Contains tons of new missions, loads of frame rate polish for the X, and anti-aliasing and better textures and stuff like that. It looks and runs so much better on the X now, especially with the menus too. But there's something unique about it. And to be honest, Rand, I've been playing it this whole podcast, by the way. You know, just mindlessly grinding in it. I love it, and because I love zombies, and I was disappointed like everyone else, man. I wanted AAA, I wanted dedicated servers and all that stuff, and we have to wait till State of Decay 3 to get that stuff, which is really frustrating. But I'm just really happy for them still at the same time. Feels like an underdog story almost.
Feels like an underdog story. I mean, I just hope that the State of Decay 3 is what they said State of Decay 2 was going to be, a AAA experience, and different I don't want State of Decay 3 to come out and it's just like, well, it's just State of Decay 2 again, which is basically State of Decay 1.
It really annoys me that they didn't even add any new freaks for this game.
Yeah, which I mean,
It's really
hopefully
weird.
them being brought in, they give them 3 years. I would imagine 2021 release, maybe a 2022 release. And you make shared open world zombie killing game where me and Jez can have our base together. It's not where I go into Jez's game and
Like
I just there to
Fallout
help
76.
him. Like it's just like it's an online experience that everybody can share together and we can build our communities together because that's the next step for this franchise. They still have the animations need to be completely overhauled because they're very low quality.
They've overhauled the running animation in this actually for this patch too.
Well, good. I mean,
it looks less stupid than it did before.
Show and W's, thanks for the super chat. He says State of Decay can really be a AAA franchise. I mean, yeah, if you pump the money into it and give it dedicated servers, it can be pretty good. So State of Decay, I wonder which one's doing better or in comparison, or like, did they think Sea of Thieves would do better or which, you know what I mean? Like, I know they said they both kind of exceeded expectations, but I wonder if like State of Decay is outperforming what they even thought, or which one was better for them between the two.
I'd love to know that, but we probably never will.
Yeah, and then finally, Halo got a Halo announcement today that Showtime and Amblin Television and 343 Industries are bringing Halo to television. Their Showtime has ordered a 10-episode season based on the legendary game franchise.
Do you think it's any coincidence that announcement has happened now as well after Terry Morrison's gone?
Well, it's just like they announced this or something similar back during the reveal of the
Seriously,
Xbox. Remember?
I reckon this was held up just because of money. And now people are getting paid the amount that they think they deserve to get paid. Suddenly it's going ahead. I think it's that simple. So they were probably trying to get something for nothing before. And now the checkbooks are open. They're like, you know what? Let's make this actually good. Here's the money. We want it to be, great and stuff like that.
So it says, in its adaptation for Showtime, Halo will take place in the universe that first came to be in 2001, dramatizing an epic 26th century conflict between humanity and an alien threat known as the Covenant. Kyle Killian, who I guess did Awake, will serve as executive producer, writer, and showrunner. Rupert Riot, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, will direct multiple episodes and also executive produce the hour-long series, which enters production in early 2019. Now, here's a little speculation based off of, so it's going in production early 2019. How much you want to bet that this Halo TV show will launch around the same time as the Halo video game?
I don't know. I mean, they're probably like that, but I seriously doubt they're going to force 343 to make a specific deadline because then the Halo Infinite has big stakes, man. They're basically soft rebooting the franchise with that game, I would say.
I mean, I'm sure Halo Infinite has a deadline. I'm sure they're like looking at a date and being like, you need to hit this down. I'm just saying, like, if they're going into production in early 2019, hour-long, 10-episode series, you figure I would figure the earliest they could put it out is probably end of 2019, but maybe they hold it to the beginning of 2019 and they start using the series as a 10-episode or 10-week like event leading up to potentially the launch of the video game. I don't know. Like I cross promotion. It's like that's my first thought when I saw this. It's like, okay, the TV show's happening. It's being filmed early next year. Who knows when Halo Infinite's going to launch? Presumably 2020. I need to look. I love Halo. I wanted to see like big screen Halo. I mean, I have to see give me a trailer. Like I don't know, like because it could still be very bad. You know what I mean? Like it could just. I don't want to dream. Like I don't want to be like, oh my god, we're gonna be Breaking Bad levels of TV here, or Game of Thrones levels of just like, oh my god, this is just amazing, or Band of Brothers or something. Like I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but I do feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Jazz. Maybe it's not. But I do feel like this is gonna like kind of lead to Halo Infinite, and it's just gonna be like marketing push, like Halo every single week on Showtime, and then boom, Halo Infinite. You know, like I don't know. Maybe. But it is interesting though, like you said, that this is happening. Right then, finally happening.
Showtime gave me back Twin Peaks, and I've watched half of Twin Peaks season 3, which Twin Peaks is a early 90s horror soap opera, which I worship. And Showtime greenlit Twin Peaks season 3. They gave David Lynch full creative control. David Lynch has made the most insane TV show I've ever seen in my life, and it was amazing. So I'm pretty confident, actually. It might actually be good, because it feels like Showtime completely got out of the way and let David Lynch make. I mean, it's probably like a stupid reason to be optimistic, but it feels like Showtime completely got out of the way and let David Lynch make a TV show that would in no way be popular with anyone except Twin Peaks fans. So I'm pretty optimistic. I mean, you get like those, like the World of Warcraft movie had loads of content cut out because the studio was like, it's too long, blah, blah, blah. So like, as a result, it just came out in this sort of disjointed mess that barely even makes sense, And like when I was watching the World of Warcraft movie with like my 2 friends, I had to pause it every few minutes to explain what was going on. And the only reason I knew what was going on is because I'm a massive World of Warcraft nerd, and I know the source material so well. But I feel like Showtime really gave David Lynch creative control, and maybe they'll do the same for Halo, man. I'm pretty excited to see where that goes. And isn't there a Gears of War thing in the works too?
So there might be a Gears of War movie. I know Dave Bautista was pushing for that. Universal
Dave Bautista would be amazing in that.
You would, and I still think there's an Uncharted movie coming as well. I think from Sony.
There's untapped potential there, because the video games, like 99% of video game movies are terrible. I mean, which are the really decent ones, to be fair? The first Resident Evil movie was okay.
I mean, there really hasn't been a good video game movie.
Final Fantasy VII Advent Children was pretty good. The Final Fantasy 15 movie was pretty good, actually. But they were basically just feature-length cutscenes, pretty much. So I thought the Silent Hill movie was okay as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. You see, like you're adapting all this like story from video games, which normally don't really have good stories. You know what I mean? And like nobody really spends a lot of money in them. They just hire some shitty screenwriter and do some stuff. So it's like
they're just basically cashing in on the brand.
Yeah. Like I thought the Assassin's Creed movie was going to be good because it seemed like, hey, they got oh man, I'm blanking on the guy. Help me out here. He played Magneto. He played Steve Jobs. No, not Ian McKellen. Like he played the younger version of Magneto in Days of Future Past.
Benedict.
No, God, I
know what you mean. He was in Prometheus, right?
He was in Inglourious Bastards. I love him.
Oh God, what's his name? I love him too. What's his name?
Oh, Michael Fassbender. Thank you.
Yes, Michael
Fassbender is a great actor, right? So I thought when he was doing Assassin's Creed, I'm like, oh, dude, they got a really great actor. It's gonna be good. And the movie was crap. Like no matter how good he was in it, like he just wasn't. The movie's just not good. And I don't know. Like there was even a time where they were gonna do a BioShock movie, but that never came to fruition. So like when it comes to like video game adaptations for stuff, like I don't really, I don't know. I tend not to get excited.
It works both ways though as well. Like most games based on movies are terrible too, because everyone's looking past the source material and just looking to cash in. It's really annoying.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. There we go. Hansworth. Mortal Kombat back the very first Mortal Kombat movie. I actually went to see that with my friends. It was amazing. Oh God, I love that.
The Street Fighter anime movie was pretty good.
Remember Doom with The Rock?
I didn't see that. but I heard things about
Wasn't
it.
very good. It was not very good at all. Um,
I really love The Rock, but he doesn't seem to be in very many good
I
movies.
love The Rock. You wanna know why? I was a bit like during high school. I was a huge wrestling fan. We would go to all
Oh,
my
me too.
buddies' houses and we'd watch Monday Night Raw and Nitro. We'd have the two TVs setting up, watch them back and forth. And I know I'm sure chat's gonna give me shit for this because it's wrestling. And this one I was like 17, 16 or whatever. So it was like an event for us because it was like all my friends watched it. So we go over every Monday night to my buddy's house. We'd order pizza, and it was like me and my 5 friends, and we just sit there and we just watch for 3 hours. Male soap operas, I guess you want to call them.
Dude, I used to do that too every Friday night, watching Raw because it was on a Friday in England. Like, because it aired live on a Monday, but like at 3 in the morning or whatever. But like the repeat was on a Friday, so like every Friday after school we'd just watch Raw. And it was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. It was it was just I guess the right time, the Attitude Era. Like I was like 16.
Should we start a wrestling podcast?
Yeah, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time,
Is
but
The
like
Rock your favorite wrestler then?
yes, he is, or at least would be. Yeah, totally. I always said he would be a movie star, and I was right. I love me The Rock. But yeah. So I don't know what are we talking about? This isn't video games.
We're talking about
wrestling.
we're talking about Doom, and then we started talking about wrestling because of The Rock.
Yes.
So we're talking about video game movies and the Halo TV show.
The Halo TV show. Interesting that it's finally happening 5 years later, though. I want remember when that was announced at the reveal?
Yep.
It was supposed to be done by Steven Spielberg?
I think Spielberg's still involved in some capacity.
Yeah. And now it's actually finally happening. We got a TV show Halo. We'll see. We'll see. If this was HBO, I'd be like, oh man, HBO is doing a Halo, like because HBO produces some quality television. But Showtime, it's like Showtime. Are we gonna get like Cortana naked or something? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
there's a lot of nudity and violence in Twin Peaks season 3, and that's on.
No, there's a lot of nudity and stuff in HBO shows and Showtime shows, but I'm just kind of curious to see.
They won't put nudity in that because little kids will be watching it.
Well, yeah. Plus, I'm sure Microsoft doesn't. Nobody wants to see Master Chief's dong or anything.
Well, speak for yourself, man.
I'm kind of curious to see what like, is it going to bridge Halo 5 to Halo Infinite? Are they going to tell a completely self-contained story within the Halo universe that's outside of? I'm just kind of curious to see like what kind of story they tell. You know what I mean?
Do you think it'd be like focused on ODSTs instead of Master Chief?
Yeah, well, see, the thing. The problem is if you use Master Chief, you have to get Steve Downes, who does the voice of Master Chief.
I think I'd prefer it if it focused on soldiers and maybe there was a Master Chief cameo or something. I don't know.
Robert Rampler says, "Man, these guys don't know what they're talking about with the Halo show." Do you know what the Halo show is about? Enlighten me, please. Were you sitting down in this meeting between 343 and Showtime and know exactly what is going on with the Halo show, sir? If so, would you please tell me and Jez what we're wrong about here?
That's funny.
Yeah. Gotta love people like that in chat, man. Gotta love them. God bless them. But let's take some questions, shall we?
Shall we? Yes.
So hit us up with some questions, guys, and we'll answer them, do our best. But in the meantime, we had like 360 people watching. I don't see 360 likes. So please, if you enjoyed the show at all, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, all that stuff. So let's start with the questions. Face. He goes, Ryan and Jazz, will H1Z1 be the next game to be a huge hit with over 10 million players on PS4 announced today? And what's your Metacritic prediction for Spider-Man? Well, okay, so H1Z1 came out on PlayStation, a month ago? What, give or take? Something like that? Maybe
I don't know.
And it now has over 10 million players on the PlayStation. Is it the next big game to be a huge hit? Well, I mean, 10 million players is already kind of a huge hit, is it not?
I bet Sony's kicking themselves for letting them go. They could have had their very own PUBG.
I think this speaks to the power of a game being free, because it's free, right? And I also think it speaks to how hungry gamers are for battle royale that necessarily aren't PUBG and Fortnite, and how PUBG kind of screwed this up a little bit. You know, like by not being on PlayStation, you kind of created
okay.
you know what I mean? Like they went with Microsoft, got the money, seems to be doing okay on Xbox. We haven't got any sales updates. But by not going to PlayStation, you let Fortnite run rampant there, and then the next one to come out is also a huge hit. I just wonder like if they did, maybe they couldn't. Maybe it was impossible to do an Xbox port and a PlayStation port, or maybe even doing console at the same time. I'm just wondering if like you know what PUBG would have done on PlayStation, because clearly people on PlayStation want a battle royale game, right?
Yep.
Or if PUBG made them, well, they probably haven't, because they probably made over $1 billion on PUBG, considering it's like sold 50 million copies. But maybe you think maybe they should have been free? Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, they do have a lot of free to play elements in it with the cosmetic stuff and the season pass or battle pass, which they just introduced. It's like they want to be able to sell the game, but then also have all the trappings of a free to play game on top of it.
I don't know why they're not free to play, frankly. I mean,
because 50 million people decided to pay $30 a piece, I guess.
Well, they'd make so much more money and have so much more mind share if it was free. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think they'd have more mind share if it was free.
Yeah, I think people would be more accepting of the issues it does have. You know what I mean?
At least if it was in Game Pass or something. But one of the reasons State of Decay is doing so well is because of the mind share that happens as a result of Game Pass. Like someone has it on Game Pass. Let's say this multiplayer game's good. You want to get it too. Maybe that person's like, I don't want to get Game Pass. I'll just buy it outright. It just creates mind share, and it like for free game creates mind share. And I think like if PUBG was free, it would probably be a lot bigger than it is.
Well, I mean, it's already huge. It's like the biggest game on Steam. It's potentially like the third biggest game in the world after Fortnite and League of Legends. I mean,
I think it'd have a bigger reach though.
We are talking about one of the biggest games out there. I wonder if it would be even bigger. But Eternal Should Die, thanks for the super chat. He asked, will we ever see World of Warcraft on the Xbox One console, since all PC games are being ported to the console? Example, Terraria, Black Desert, etc.
I've spoken to Blizzard about this multiple times, people at Blizzard, and the thought process right now is probably not. The reason for that is World of Warcraft is based on a really, really old engine. Pretty much everything they've put on top of that engine is like a hack job. And to bring that to console would be a huge amount of work. And not only that, they'd have to retune 13 years of content for game controllers. They'd have to go back to every single old dungeon, retune it specifically for game controllers. Every single boss fight is tuned for mouse and keyboard. Now, as I've been saying that, I just thought maybe they could bring WoW Classic to consoles, because they're kind of with WoW Classic, they're working on World of Warcraft Classic servers, which is basically just the vanilla game, which people have this massive nostalgic boner for, and I don't know why. I played in vanilla. World of Warcraft is a much better game now, objectively, but people have this nostalgia for the original version of the game for whatever reason. I think Blizzard could maybe rebuild that for console. There'd be a lot less content to have to retune and rebalance, and maybe build WoW Classic up from there on console. But again, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for them. I think they'd rather just make a game from scratch that's designed for console. I can't see World of Warcraft ever coming to console. I mean, I've asked them about Heroes of the Storm coming to console as well, and you'd think that'd be a much easier game to bring to consoles, but they don't even want to do that, like from what I understand. So
yeah,
it's frustrating though, because Diablo's done so well on console. I'd love to see more Blizzard games on console, but they're PC first dev.
So Gunstar wants to know, how are reviewers going to review Forza Horizon 4 if the core of the game, the seasons, are going to occur weekly? a 4-week embargo after release? Question mark. I actually thought the same thing there. Since seasons change everything, how are reviewers going to be able to play all 4 seasons during their review process so they can
I think
accurately?
what they'll do is they'll speed up the
That's
seasons
exactly what I was thinking.
for the review period. I reckon they'll speed up the seasons.
I would imagine they can change it at their whim. So for
Yeah.
like regular release to be a week, I wouldn't be surprised if a season. Usually the Forza Horizon games get released to reviewers like pretty early, like usually 2 weeks beforehand, if not more.
Yeah.
I would imagine. What do you think, Jazz? Maybe a season every 2 days, a season every 3 days, or something.
A season every 3 days or 2 days or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, if you give them a week beforehand, like it's like, oh, by the way, seasons change everything, but I only played in winter, so I don't really know. So yeah, I think they'll speed up the process for it, and then they'll go back to like the regular time. Let's see what else here. Katopsy wants to know: would you trade all your PS4 first-party exclusives for crossplay with Xbox and Fortnite?
No.
No.
I don't care about crossplay at all, frankly.
Yeah. I mean,
personally, I don't.
I understand why Sony's not doing crossplay because it doesn't make any business sense for them, and they run their business how they want to run it. I think the thing with Fortnite was I think more people were upset with cross progression, or like them holding like the PS4 Epic accounts like hostage rather than crossplay. Like, look, like crossplay is cool, but like I don't fault Sony for not doing it. And that video I made about it with the dramatic music, I mean, it was over the top for a reason. And if you didn't realize that, because I thought the music was there to drive that point home, but
this is the internet, man. People don't get sarcasm.
I know. They don't. So no, I'd rather have my PS4 first party exclusives and crossplay. I don't care that much about crossplay. I mean, I've been saying it would be cool. Like one day you play Battlefield 5 and it's Xbox versus PlayStation, or I mean, yeah, it'd be cool, but like it's not something
I'd like it purely because some of my siblings have PlayStation, and it'd be awesome to be able to play with them. But like we've talked on this podcast about it, and it's just obvious why Sony doesn't do it. It doesn't make business sense for them. So yeah, I don't blame them at all.
I don't know. See,
I poke fun at them, but
some people seem to think like it's an either or. Either you're willing to sacrifice the exclusives to get crossplay, but it's like that doesn't make any sense. They're not tied in any way, shape, or form. You still have Sony's exclusives plus crossplay, so that argument makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And he says it was mostly to point out a difference between Sony and Microsoft and their business models. I mean, you didn't not. I don't know. Like I don't really see it like that. Like it was more implied that they would have to sacrifice their exclusives to get crossplay, which is not something that would happen. But anyways, let's see. We got more questions. Question from Victor: do you think if the next Halo is weak, there will be a studio restructure? I just haven't been confident with the 343 heads. Interesting. So I guess what would have to say, what would be weak, or what would Microsoft consider to be weak? And what do they expect from Halo? Like if Halo Infinite comes out and it meets their expectations, then everything probably proceeds as normal. If it somehow really underperforms, even with the extra time, I mean, granted, this is us thinking it's coming out in 2020, which would be 5 years, which is a long time, and it significantly underperforms, I think you see new leadership at 343, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think like if Halo Infinite underperforms, I think there will be some kind of reckoning for 343, a restructuring, looking at getting new talent in and stuff like that. They won't give up on Halo. They can't. It's too big. The fan base is too entrenched. They're all in on Halo. I mean, they're making a a big budget TV show about it. It is their flagship franchise that isn't Minecraft. It is still the flagship Xbox franchise. Minecraft is its own business, pretty much. It's on every console, blah 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 blah. But Halo is the thing that sells the Xbox platform, and
Yeah.
I think if they screw up this Halo, and people don't like it for whatever reason, I think they will have to rethink some things, I would say.
Yeah. Mighty Ryan, thanks for the super chat. He goes, "Hey guys, next week is my birthday. Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm planning on playing some games with my family. Can you recommend some great co-op games on Xbox?"
Oh, Overcooked for family.
Well, yeah, especially for Overcooked 2 comes out pretty soon as well. And that actually has online co-op this time.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, Overcooked is pretty good.
Were any of the Worms games for family? Worms is fun.
I'd stick away from Worms. I agree with Jazz on Overcooked.
Randy's bad at Worms, so don't listen to him.
State of Decay 2, 4-player co-op.
But that's
that's not really local.
If you're looking at local, there's loads of really good local games like Monopoly. I feel like that sort of game. Have you played the Monopoly game on Xbox?
Yeah, I have.
Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time. Although I think that's 3-player, right, or 2-player?
That's 2-player, but you still, it's still a cool game.
You know what? I'm gonna write an article next week. The best local co-op games for Xbox.
Oh,
do some research about this.
Cuphead.
Oh, Cuphead. Yeah.
Cuphead is a great co-op game.
Brothers.
Any of the Lego games? If you have any of the Lego games, they're always kind of fun to play in co-op. Rocket League.
Rocket League split screen, right? Gears of War.
Yeah.
Is a split screen.
Portal 2. If you have it in back compat, that's like one of the best co-op games. If you haven't played Portal 2, and I'm sure people in chat can give you a lot of options as well. I would like to see that article from you, Jazz, about the best.
Yeah, I'll do some research. I don't play that many local co-op games because I don't have any friends. But whenever I do have friends around, my go-to game is Overcooked because it's just all on one screen. Oh, Diablo 3 is a really good local co-op game too. It's an amazing local co-op game, actually. Probably one of the best. Is Path of Exile local co-op? Oh, actually, I don't think it is.
Well, one of the games of gold games that comes out next month, Death Squared, is it's a puzzle game, but it's also you can play it with 4 people. It actually is a cool game. So I would recommend. I don't know if it'll be free by the time it's your birthday, which you thought it was next week, so probably not. A Way Out. What about A Way Out?
Way Out. What's that now?
That's the game that came out from the guy who was like fuck EA, and you can play it online or local. I don't know. It's kind of
There are loads, but they're mostly indie games, and it's hard to think about them off the top of my head.
Castle Crashers.
Oh, Castle Crashers is a good one.
That's a pretty cool local co-op game, or even online.
Divinity Original Sin is my favorite local co-op game, but it's pretty heavy and in-depth and complicated. It's not really something you play with family around.
Yeah. So those are all of our suggestions. Look for an article by Jez. Hope you have a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dude, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching the show. Predator H2O, what's going on, buddy? He wants to know what's your game of the year so far. So here we go, Jez. Our games of the year so far. Mine is God of War. But Rand, you're an Xbot. God of War is the best game I played this year.
But if God of War was on Xbox, you'd play that version, right?
If they came out the same day, of course. The superior controller with the superior achievement system.
So I just had to give the fanboys something to attack you for.
Yeah, they always attacking me for something.
I don't know what mine is. I'm torn between Monster Hunter World, which I've had so much fun with, State of Decay 2, which I've had so much fun with, and Frostpunk on PC, which I absolutely adore. I adore everything about that game, but it's too short. So it's a bit of a toss-up for me. I think I think State of Decay, especially with this update, is kind of edged out into the lead now. Just because I love zombies, it's kind of subjective reasoning. But
Yeah.
there's been loads of good games so far this year already. Pretty cool, and there's going to be so many more later this year. I'm gonna before we end round, predict what your game of the year will be by the end of 2018, given all the games we know about that are coming.
Predict.
Predict.
Well, this goes back to Face's original question about the Spider-Man Metacritic. So I don't think Spider-Man's going to be better than God of War. So I think the Metacritic for that game will be about an 88. Shadow the Tomb Raider, from what I've seen, even though I love Tomb Raider, I don't think it'll be better than God of War. The only game that has the potential to unseat God of War is Red Dead 2, in my opinion.
For you.
For me, like I
gotta say that or people will be mad.
For me, the only game that I see coming out the rest of the year that could potentially unseat God of War is Red Dead Redemption 2. Black Ops 4, no chance because we got no single player. I don't really expect great single player from Battlefield 5, even though the multiplayer looks a lot of fun. I've been watching some streams of that. Like, it looks really great.
I've just got an alpha key for that.
Yeah, Spider-Man I think is going to be really good, but I don't think it'll be next level like God of War was. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I don't think it'll be better than Rise of the Tomb Raider. What else? Hitman 2 I think will be a really solid title, but not like an amazing great one. Fallout 76, I don't think it could reach that for. Yeah, so I mean really the only one is Red Dead 2. In my opinion. And I'm not even sure, like Far Cry 5 is right there at number 2. I'm not even really sure there's a game that could even unseat Far Cry 2 at number 2. I think there's maybe wiggle room for somebody to be number 3 on unseating Detroit. But I don't know. My 1 and 2 might be set. It might be just God of War and Far Cry 5.
Fair enough.
What about you?
Man, I'm really excited for Fallout 76. Like, ridiculously so. I love Fallout games. I love apocalypses. It kind of looks like the game that I would have hoped Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 would have been more like, with the, the asynchronous multiplayer, and also more robust base building mechanics and, loot to scavenge and that sort of thing in a dedicated bloody server. So Fallout 76, man, I'm pretty excited for that game, but again, maybe it'll suck. Maybe it'll have no depth and it'll be just
well, that's the thing. Yeah, like Kat says, ran Forza Horizon, and it's not like I forgot about it. It's just that as much as I love Forza Horizon, and I do love Forza Horizon, there is that stigma that gets attached to it about it's just a racing game, right? And you know what I mean? Like Forza Horizon 3, I gave a 9.5, and it was my second game of the year in 2016, only beaten out by Inside. And just sitting here thinking about how good and how much I loved literally God of War and Far Cry 5, I just can't see Forza Horizon 4 outdoing either of those two games.
What I think is that they're not really emotional experiences.
Yes.
I think that's what it is for me.
I mean, very much Forza Horizon 4 could be my my third game of the year. I mean, like, it's just I just don't think it has that, like you said, emotional impact of being number 1. Shout out to Carlos Cripson for the super chat. He says, "Do you think Rockstar is just focused on Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto from now on? They haven't released anything else."
I saw that. Is that question inspired by a meme? Because I saw on Reddit someone posted a Rockstar timeline on Reddit, and it was like they released the game every year for like so many years, and then GTA 5 dropped, and they didn't release anything at all for years, and just focused on Red Dead and making content for did I say Gears? For GTA?
Yeah.
And then they didn't, they made LA Noire, Bully, Manhunt. I absolutely loved Manhunt as a kid, and that sort of stuff. And now they are just a Grand Theft Auto machine. I don't understand why that game's so popular. Still, I don't get it. I really don't get it, man.
It's
That's
obviously
one of the biggest mysteries in my life.
the GTA Line mode, man. Like, but the
Yeah, I
question is,
know, but
like,
I
do they
don't know
only
what.
make Red Dead Redemptions and Grand Theft Autos going forward? Um,
I think it's, I think it's damn possible, man. I think
yeah.
like they'll probably have a team working on content for GTA and Red Dead, their online modes, because they must have made so much money from GTA
Un-
Online.
Unless there's a team and they want to do a passion project, like whether it's Bully 2 or LA Noir 2 or something
Well, that
along
was
those
made by
lines.
Team Bondi,
Right, but
which
I
is
think
fully
Rockstar
part of them.
retained the rights to it. I'm saying
Oh yeah, yeah, they
I
did.
think for the like obviously Grand Theft Auto 6 is their core and Red Dead 2 is probably, the second biggest franchise they have and I think it'll be those two games for the foreseeable future, unless there's like a smaller team that had like a passion project, like we wanted to revisit Bully, and here's Bully, or hey, we wanted to revisit Max Payne, which probably wouldn't happen because Max Payne 3 was incredibly expensive and didn't sell very well. But no,
I
I
really
mean
like
like
Max Payne 3.
I love Max Payne 3. Honestly,
It's
but
good.
I think you're right. I think it'll just be Grand Theft Auto. So like you have Red Dead this year, Grand Theft Auto 6 when Jazz, like when do you think they're going to do Grand Theft Auto 6?
Maybe
Typical Rockstar?
we'll drop it. What if they do like what they did with GTA 5?
That's
Drop
what
it
I was
right at the
thinking.
end of the gen,
Yep.
and then cross-gen it, and then make ridiculous amount of money again.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So drop Red Dead Redemption, drop Grand Theft Auto 6 in what end of 2020? And then
Yeah.
a year later, 2021, you release the PC version and then enhanced versions for Xbox 2 and PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. I mean, it would be typical, but also at the same time, is that enough distance between Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto? 2 years?
Yeah.
Um,
I think like I don't think they'll see as much traction with Red Dead's Online that they see with Grand Theft Auto because there's no cars, there's no planes. Well, who knows? Maybe they will put them in like some kind of weird futuristic mode. I don't know, but there's not that sandbox mayhem that you can get out of GTA 5. It's going to be more of a sort of focused online experience. So I don't see Red Dead 2 having the same. I could be completely wrong, but maybe they've got some like super duper innovative thing that I just can't imagine dreamed up for it. But I can't see it having the same longevity as GTA 5. So
so I got a question for you, Jess.
go on.
What do you think of the Games with Gold games for this month?
I didn't see them. I saw
All
one of
right.
them, but I
So
can't
you
even
have
remember what it is.
you have Android Assault Android Cactus on July
Right.
1st. It's a $15 game indie title. I have a review up on the channel if anybody's interested. It's all right. Death Squared from July 16th to July 15th or August 15th, another $15 title. Cool puzzle game. I actually quite enjoyed it. Not really sure either of those two games qualify as a good games with gold, thing since you pay for these. I know there's a big discussion. Like, look, these games aren't free. Okay, I don't know how many times we're gonna repeat this. You pay for these games. You pay a subscription, $60 a year or $10 or whatever it is, and these are what you get. Like, these aren't free. I hate when people say that, Jez. These games aren't free. You pay for them. You know what I mean? Um. Anyways, that's the Xbox One, and on the 360 of Virtua. What is this? Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, $15 title, available July 1st, and then Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, available July 16th. In my
You like
opinion,
Splinter Cell, right?
I mean Splinter Cell Conviction, that's cool. I mean that's not even the last Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell Blacklist was the last one.
Right.
My initial thoughts, pass. Not a, uh, I mean, Assault Android Cactus and Death Squared are good games, but like, it ain't like giving away with like free like good game. You know what I mean?
Do you think Games with Gold is sort of losing its budget
Hmm.
with the way they've been doing everything else lately?
What with like Game Pass?
Game Pass, giving away games on Mixer too. Don't forget.
Yeah, I mean Game Pass is July is a lot better. You got like 10 games You have 2 brand new games launching into the service. You have Warhammer Vermintide 2 coming day 1. You
Epic
have
game.
Bomber Crew. And you got Fallout 3 Oblivion, or Fallout 3 Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Shadow Complex Remastered, Human Fall
Great
Flat,
game.
Zombie Army Trilogy, which
Brilliant game.
that's a great co-op game.
Well, that's
It's
another
fun.
co-op game for you.
Yeah.
Zombie
Dirt
Army.
4 and Abzu. So like Game Pass has a lot better. I mean, hell, like here's the thing. I did a video about this yesterday, but I love the idea of Game Pass bringing brand new titles day 1 into the service.
Yeah, that's how they're gonna sell it.
Well, that's what I think the service should be. And Warhammer Vermintide 2, from everybody I've talked to, from what I've seen, looks like a great like co-op game. Just and that game's like $40. Like this is what I want Xbox Game Pass to be.
You can play Warhammer Vermintide 2 on the Alpha Ring if you just go into the Xbox Insider app and sign up for the beta. It's free.
Yeah. So like I love the fact that there are new games launching into Game Pass, and hopefully that's what the service eventually becomes. But like I know they're always going to add older games because that adds like value to the library. And maybe it's just me speaking of the fact like I own a lot of these games, so it's not often a chance I was like, oh, brand new game. But like I like seeing like brand new games launch, not only in Games with Gold, but specifically in Game Pass. I think that's what the service is really good for. Gigi wants to know if the new Ori is going to be in Game Pass. Currently, no.
No, it isn't.
Currently, not right now. Potentially down the road, yes, after they talk stuff out, I guess.
Yeah,
it's now.
Probably just it's just a case of I think they're probably working out the deal. I don't think because the way I understand Game Pass to work, every deal is sort of bespoke, and like I think some games enter into a royalty thing, others enter into a sort of upfront investment sort of thing, from what I've heard. So it just depends what kind of deal they can nail down for Will of the Wisp, because let's remember, Ori's probably going to go to Steam. The original went to Steam, right? So they've got Moon Studios have a bit more control over what they do, and I guess like maybe they're skeptical of Game Pass and stuff like that. I don't know, but it's interesting, because I mean I'm not going to say which studios it is, but I've spoken to a few studios about Game Pass, and a few of the people who were very skeptical of it have since put their games in Game Pass. So Microsoft is winning people over with data, clearly. And they're saying, look, these are the numbers we've done on this, blah, blah, blah. Give it a chance. We'll give you this money, this deal, whatever. So, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Moon Studio, Sam says like he says he can totally see Microsoft picking up Moon Studios after Ori and the Will and the Wisp. I don't know. They've been pretty outspoken about retaining independence.
So were some of the others.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I guess money does talk.
Playground Games was very vocal about their independence previously, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So bad month for Games with Gold. Pretty good month for Game Pass. It almost kind of feels like these two are at odds with each other, and somehow they should merge the two at some point, or get rid of Gold. I don't know, or get rid of Games with Gold. I mean,
will people be really angry? Say in chat, will people be angry if they got rid of Games with Gold and focused on getting better titles for Game Pass?
No, people do look forward to getting the free titles. I don't know if what you're getting is worthy of the money of the subscription. I don't know. Some people would say, well, you get 48 games a year and that comes out to be $2,000. And it's like, yeah, but like, are the games any good though? I don't know. Like I think they could remove Games with Gold and people would still be subscribed because people subscribe for the multiplayer. I think
I can't remember the last time I downloaded a Games with Gold game.
If they remove like multiplayer, like if they removed Xbox Live, like the multiplayer restriction, it was just like $60 for Xbox like Games with Gold, I think everybody would unsubscribe. To be honest with you,
definitely.
because the games aren't worth subscribing for. You know, I mean, what keeps that all afloat is, hey, you want to play PUBG? Hey, you want to play Call of Duty? Hey, you want to play Battlefield? Well, they need to pay us $60, which sucks. We shouldn't have to, but it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we're gonna end the show there. It's getting late for Jezzy. So thanks for rocking out with us, guys. You can follow Jez on Twitter. His link is in the description to his Twitter, as always. What do you got going on for the rest of the week?
Well, I think I'm fresh out of leaks now, so gotta go hunt some more down for next time. Other than that, I don't have anything major planned. I think I'm gonna try and review Vampyr next week. Who knows, man? Things always come up.
That's true. And as for me, I'm going to prepare videos for reviews for both Crew 2 and Nier Automata. I'm going to try to finish both of those off this week. I am going to play through Nier Automata at least 3 times. And look forward to those. And I'm sure there'll be other videos I drop in between. So if you enjoyed this podcast, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Sometimes Google's finicky about sending out notifications and putting this in the sub box. So if you want to always be notified, you can always hit the bell icon. That'll notify you. And we'll see you next Thursday, since July 4th is on Wednesday. So we'll see you a week from now. So thanks for watching here on YouTube. And thanks for watching on Google Play or wherever else you listen to, like iTunes. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. Later.
Bye.